Welcome back everyone. Today I'm going to be repotting my going green maple Cabodaci style. Enjoy. I've said it multiple times, but I'll say it again. Apologise for all the repotting videos. Unfortunately, that is the season we're in. And this year I've got a lot of trees to repot. They've just been in either bad soil or need bigger pots or smaller pots. And so this maple, I put some pictures up when I first got it. So I got this with a Jordan, I believe it's called. The variety as a bundle, so I got it for Facebook sales. I see a lady selling them. They were infested with aphids, so she was selling them for £15, I think, for two of them. So £7.50 each. And at the time I got them, they were, you know, like probably like 3-foot trees. Obviously, with how we going bonsai, that wasn't how they were going to stay. So I've had these for about 2 years now. And over the course of that 2 years, I've just been pruning them back and obviously trying to shorten some internodes on them because the way they were growing, just vertical and long old internode. So yeah, so this one, when I pulled it out of the pot the first time, I realised that it was basically two separate trees, and I thought, I've got two choices here, so I either separate them and make them single trees, which they're not very interesting anyway. So instead I decided to put them together as a Cabodaci style or a group style. So it looks like multiple trunks sharing the same base, for anyone who doesn't know. And yeah, so I wired these two together, and to my own surprise, because I have been a bit ruthless with these and I've been cutting them back 2 times a year, I haven't really let them grow vigorous. They've grown well, they are healthy, but just haven't let them run too long. But they have already grafted together, so quite a surprise for me. So yeah, this one as well was grown in soil that, again, I didn't really know what I was doing when I first started doing this kind of stuff. So I believe it was John Innes, vermaculite and perlite. I don't know why I was using vermaculite. For maples it isn't a bad mix, right? So, you know, the soil was staying wet for a long time. It was very moist, which maples don't really mind. But the issue was that the roots only grew to a certain size and they were getting thick and chunky, and you can see in this video that the roots aren't what we'd expect. The root base is fine, you know, it's flaring out. Most of the roots are kind of in a radial pattern. I do have to clean some of them up. Apologies again, I keep on taking the tree out of the camera. We're learning as we go along. I'm just trying to make the base as flat as possible, and with this one I am going for that kind of pancake root style. Obviously over the years or decades, Rome wasn't built in a day. But yeah, I want the pancake kind of root style in this one, so this year I've decided to put it into a proper bonsai training pot. And I've been toying with the idea of pure Akadama for maples. I know that a lot of studios and places just use pure Akadama for maples. It's great for root growth. There's a big root that I took off at the top there. A high root. Now there is another high root on the right, but that does give the base a bit more flair, so I'm hoping over time, if I can sink this a little bit deeper, I'll get some more finer roots there, and that'll eventually seal up as well as the trunks fatten up and keep merging together. Work on moving some roots that aren't too radial there. So yeah, in order to get that pancake kind of style, you really need a fine kind of nabari. The finer the roots, and then over time, obviously, when you start raising it out of the pot. Now, I could have placed this on a tile or a wooden plank, which I know a lot of people do to keep that root base going. I decided not to because I feel like although this tree has been growing quite healthy, if I left it in that pot this year, or if I do too much to the roots this year, I feel like I might set it back. So I'm just going to let it grow out for a year. I won't be trimming any of these branches kind of back until autumn time. Usually I do like a summer prune as well, just to try and get even more either back budding or branching. But I think this year I'll kind of leave it to grow out a bit. So using this little net basket here that I've cut down into a better size, and really that's for like roots, root making. I know that maples react quite well to that. These kind of pots with no walls. And obviously then the longer roots can air prune themselves, so just filling up the back there, it wasn't exactly straight in the pot. As you can see, the root base is quite flat, which is quite nice. It just sits there by itself, so isn't too much issue just backfilling this in. Now what I've gone for here is it's more like a 4 to 6 millimeter base layer, just for drainage, and then I think it's about 2 to 3 millimeter for the majority of the pot, and then I believe I top dress this in a minute with it's like a 1 to 2 millimeter kind of like marmite kind of size, and again that's more for water retention. I've struggled with maples over the past 2 years, just where I actually keep my trees. In the middle of summer they get all day sun, and I haven't really found a way to put them in shade just yet. I feel like this year I might get a shade net put over the top of them. I've got a lot of different species in a little tight area, so obviously some absolutely love full sun, you know, the pines, Piacea. I just bought a bald cypress as well, or a swamp cypress, so that they absolutely love sun. Even the ginkgo itself loves sun. So trying to move everything around a couple of times a year to try and protect it. There is a shelf below this. The problem with that shelf is there isn't that much room, so I can't fit this tree in on that shelf. It's more for like marmite kind of size trees, or cuttings usually. So for anyone that watched the last video, might have noticed that I didn't sound too great. I probably don't sound too great either today. I'm slowly coming over it though. I don't know what it was, but throat, chest, everything's closed up. Change of weather maybe, where it's gone from 4 to 5 degrees in a day's time, and then it went all the way up to 17 the other day in the sun. It's gone straight back down to like 3-4 degrees at night again. It's a crazy time to be in the bonsai game. Past couple of years. So that's this one near enough done. I'm just going to put some moss on top. So I have now got some sphagnum moss, which I got from a friend of the channel, Michelle. Thank you very much, Michelle. She's also given me €10 larch as well to play around with, so there should be a video coming up on them probably at the end of spring when I decide what I want to do with them. Obviously no repotting, but I'll probably apply some wire and decide what I want to do with them. I'm thinking a forest for 7 of them, then I might split the other 3 into their individual trees if I feel like they're good enough to be their individual trees. But with that as well, that means that I can now make a top dressing, so a proper top dressing of, you know, dried out sphagnum moss, dried out local moss, grate it all together and then put across the surface of the soil, and that's really your best way to grow moss on a tree, or in a pot, should I say. You know, when you just place moss on top, the issue with it, it doesn't really root into, unless you've got really fine akadama on top, it doesn't really root into it. So as soon as that weather warms up, you'll see it dry out and possibly won't come back until autumn time, if it comes back at all. That's the end of this one. I think I've got about 2 or 3 more repotting videos, and then we're moving on to tropical trees, so my indoor trees at the minute, which will be going outdoors soon. But if you enjoyed today's content, please make sure to subscribe, like, and hit that bell notification. I'll see you soon.